Why do so many good dancers feel so bad about their dancing? If you fit into this category, you might feel like you keep measuring yourself against an invisible standard, but the goalpost just keeps moving. You're improving, but never good enough. The problem isn't your dancing, it's that you're measuring the wrong thing. Grow your dance, step by step. If content like this resonates, you're exactly the kind of dancer that we make these videos for. We share new insights every Friday. Make sure you subscribe to catch the next one, and in the meantime, let's stay in touch. In other videos, we have talked about perfectionism. Today, I want to introduce you to a new concept, which is called a performance-based identity. What a performance-based identity is effectively tying your self-worth to your achievements, your competence, and your productivity. In other words, you define who you are based on how well you perform. If you think about it, our entire society is built on performance. We measure each other based on how much money we earn, what job title we have, how many followers we have on Instagram, what kind of car we drive, what kind of house we own. The list goes on and on. And if you notice, these are tangible metrics against which we can compare each other. Think about even some of the language that we use when we describe people who are very wealthy. We talk about their net worth, as if your economic value actually defined your worth as a person. Complete nonsense, if you ask me. Few important topics when it comes to a performance-based identity. One of those is a contingent self-worth. And what this means is, I only feel good if I perform well. The second is hyper-perfectionism. As you can imagine, this one comes back to bite us. Don't have time in this video to go into it, but if you do want to get into the mechanics of perfectionism, we did a video not long ago covering the detail of this topic. Hyperperfectionism has everything to do with fear of failure and unrealistic expectations. So unrealistic that we become overly critical when we make mistakes. And then the third thing is a need for external validation, feeling that a sense of worth and belonging are not a given. They have to be earned. The number one thing you will see is people using external metrics to establish their worth, usually focused on outcomes. So it may look like in a social dancing, for example, if I get asked a lot to dance, I feel really good. If less people ask me to dance, my self-worth, boom, crashes. In a competition environment, similar story. If I win a medal at the Jack and Jill, I feel great, I think I'm awesome. If I don't make the podium, boom, worthless. The problem with both of these scenarios is that if you notice, what you're doing is you are outsourcing your sense of worth to things that are not fully within your control. The other piece of it, if you notice, is that you are competing with others instead of valuing community, and your level of performance establishes your place in the world. As you maybe can imagine, it is actually very, very, very common for athletes to have intertwined their identity with their sport. And this is why there's actually really high rates of anxiety and depression for people who retire from sport. Because suddenly when they realized, I can no longer score goals and my entire identity was bound to that, who am I? Like, what am I doing? It feels like there's nothing left. Funnily enough, one of my favorite shows of all time, Ted Lasso, has a good scene where actually Roy is just retiring and he's in that transition state where he feels like the Roy that was a footballer was everything that he was.
Can you describe your Uncle Roy? Everything that you can think of. Go.
Well, he's my uncle. His beard is scratchy. He buys me ice cream. He swears a lot. He's really funny. And I love him.
See? I didn't hear anything about being a footballer.
What's interesting about a performance-based identity is you don't have to be an athlete to feel it. I've already shared in previous videos, I'm a recovering perfectionist, and interestingly, I grew up in a house of very high achievers. And something that my dad used to always say to me is, I don't care what you do, but whatever it is, you have to be number one. And he meant this in the nicest possible way. I think he was trying to prepare us for a world that is highly competitive and where effort really matters. So that's where he was coming at it. But for me, that ingrained in me a deep sense of, I had to be number one. And if I couldn't, I sort of felt like I didn't belong. I did really well in school. I did really well in university. I was doing really well in the kind of corporate world. But at some point in my 20s, I hit a breaking point. I realized there was no way that I could be number one in everything that I wanted to be. And it wasn't because I didn't have the capacity for it. It's just that being number one became a moving target. And so when you think about it, even incredible athletic achievements like becoming a world champion, officially, tangibly, you are the best. But eventually, somebody else comes the next year and they take that from you. And so when you've built all of your identity on that external achievement, especially one where you don't have full control, things start to break a little bit. And so that breaking point was the best possible thing that could have happened to me. I needed it to shift my thinking. But I remember it was really hard because at the heart of it, I didn't feel anything I did was good enough. And that's because I didn't think I was good enough. Because I was always looking for that external validation, that job title, that salary, whatever it was, as a validation of who I was. Things shifted when I started shifting how I measured success, and especially thinking about who I was. Let's get into some practical tools that can actually help us start to shift our thinking around performance-based identity. And the key to overcoming it is to separate who you are and the value that it inherently holds from what you do. I'm going to talk to you about 2 tools that could help you. It would be pretty unethical for me to tell you that just by doing this, you will 100% be able to shift this mindset. It's something that takes time and it requires a lot of awareness. But these things, especially if you do them consistently, will eventually help you. The first exercise is the circle of control. And what I want you to do is to grab a notebook and you just draw a circle in the middle. In that circle, I want you to write everything that you can control when it comes to your performance. Things like your values, your attitudes, your efforts, your consistency, how you show up. Think about things that feel relevant and that resonate with you. Outside of the circle, I want you to write everything relevant to your performance that you cannot control. What others think of you, competition results, it can be any manner of things, right? Tailor it to you and the particular scenario that you're at. When you look at this picture that you've got now, what I want you to think about is dedicating time to everything that is inside the circle. That is where you thrive because that is where your control is. So what you want to do is every time that you feel frustrated, that you are putting yourself down, think about what is within your control. The second tool that I'm going to give you, and big surprise, this will come with my favorite tool of all time, journaling, is to reflect a little bit in moments where you felt frustrated. And what I want you to start doing is separating who you are versus what you do. So as an example, if you go to class and you're journaling, I want you to start differentiating I am versus I did. And maybe it's, okay, in the class, I did 6 double spins. I only got 1 of them correctly. I am a student who is learning. What we want to do is to start helping the brain separate who we are versus what we do. Performance is a behavior. It is not your identity. When who you are becomes how well you perform, you get stuck in a prison of your own making where nothing you do is ever enough. And the paradox is that when you stop holding a referendum on yourself, you become free to just be. The freedom comes from realizing you don't have to achieve your way to worthiness, you already are. And once you accept that, whether that is dancing, training, whatever it is, it becomes an expression of who you are, not an attempt to prove it. I hope this video helped you. Do let us know in the comments if it did. And I just really want to say thank you so much for watching. Keep going with your dancing. You're doing great. See you in the next one.